identity. I hope I can be able to have struggled with this a bit because I felt the context of our understanding of this is so far-fetched from what I would find in Scripture, and therefore I hope I don't lose you. My topic is the prevalent icons defining identity among Kenyan Christian campus students. The prevalent icons defining our identity. Allow me to begin by saying this, that every culture redefines what is important, what is worth living for, what makes them happy, or what brings forth happiness as defined by that culture, and the culture afterwards celebrates anyone who achieves what they have defined as important, valuable, and brings happiness. Those people who did pure mathematics. We are following a logical flow, isn't it? Can I repeat again? Every culture redefines what is important, what is valuable, and what makes people happy. And every culture must do that, and it does that consciously or subconsciously. Now, thereafter, the culture celebrates whoever is able to achieve what it has already defined as valuable, important, and brings happiness to that set or group of people. Now, whatever that definition becomes is then elevated in that community consciously or subconsciously, and they become the key artifacts or the icons through which that culture looks and interprets life. What the culture lifts up as the artifacts or the icons through which is the embodiment of what they have valued, what they think is important, what they think brings them happiness, then that is elevated, it's idolized. And every younger person who is in their young age envisions and desires to become like it. Now tonight, I want to be able to submit to you, and we are going to look at a few of those icons of our own culture, according to me. And I hope that will set you on a path to be able to probably discover 2 or 3 more. But then you're going to form the pattern of thinking and interpretation that helps us to know how those artifacts thereafter become our identity. Because they are the things that are deemed to be important. And those are the things, therefore, we pursue, because they are the things that are lifted high as important, valuable, and brings happiness. Therefore, as a young person, therefore, you pursue them as your life goal. And that comes almost subconsciously. You do not even need to think about it. It's almost ingrained in you. Now, out of that, the culture again develops language around those things. And therefore, when you are talking in a certain culture, there is a language you cannot understand unless you belong to that culture. And I'm not making reference to the fact that you speak Kikuyu and I speak Lu. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that we give definition to certain words that are known globally and defined otherwise. Like now, the word blessed in this country means something very different from the Oxford English meaning. Isn't it? To be blessed in this country, unless you belong here, you will not understand, isn't it? So when we say you are blessed, you may think we mean what the Oxford English Dictionary means, but we mean something different because that word has been defined in another circle. And when we meet, we will say whether you are blessed or not. And when we say you are not blessed, we all know what we are saying. Are we together? Now, those things that we have lifted up, therefore, becomes our identity. We identify with them. We want to be like them. We pursue them, and therefore they become us. Praise the Lord. Amen. Oh, it's fun. It's fun preaching in the university, isn't it? You know, when you go to the village, you just have to pick the bus and run with it, isn't it? Praise the Lord. It's exciting to preach in the university. Allow me to raise a few of them. Number one is that one of the artifacts that has actually been lifted up in our generation, in your generation, much more pronounced at your age than at my age, is the evolution of the gospel music and how we have redefined gospel music in this country, different from how it is understood elsewhere, anywhere else around the world. Praise the Lord. Amen. Allow me to mention a number of things that have been quite critical in redefining the journey that we have walked to where we are at today. You were in class 4 when Fundi Wambao was released in 2000 and around. Can you remember class 4, class 3? So you've actually grown with it. Your generation and your age mates and your ear mates do not know any other music apart from the current gospel music. As in that you are native to it. You're not kind of thinking like your parents, like, what is this? What are guys doing? I mean, you found it, this is your normal. As in, this is your normal level. This is how things are. Now, it was the first time when Fundi Wambao was released that actually there was such an upheaval in the country. Personally, when I was much younger, I could recall 2 ladies who are twins who used to sing in our church in the 1980s when I was in the primary school. Praise the Lord. And they would sing before the preacher, and after they sang, people would start crying in response to the music. And they would be invited to speak in different meetings that then used to be called guataneros, for those who probably may understand that word. And they were young. I think they must have been either in their early 20s or late teens, because they were very young girls. I met them later on now, they are much older, they are mothers. And having known the difference, for me who has the benefit of having known the difference, in other words, having been in a meeting of the current kind of music being sung and what used to be sung before, I know the difference. And we have shifted gradually over time. From the times when MOG started wearing dreads, to the time when Daddy Owen went to Lagos in Nigeria and became the male artist of the year for the Mama Awards. And if you don't know that, praise the Lord. To the time now we got the entry of the Groove Awards that unconsciously redefined who is a good artist and what is good music. And please know, these things happen without you giving them permission to happen. Groove Awards redefined what is good music and who is a good artist. To the moment whereby gospel music started getting sponsorship by huge corporates and raising the stakes even higher when that new definition of gospel music started paying. To the moments when worship leaders started winning Tasker Project fame. See, you are alive. Do you know what that did to our country? So much happened, but I want to mention a number of 2 things that have changed how you identify yourself. Number one is that during that period of time, we elevated music. We elevated music, and notice this. Whatever a culture deems important and values and brings happiness may not necessarily be an evil thing. It actually may be a good thing that is given more attention than it is due or is necessary. And so we started focusing on music. Do you know what happened? Spiritual gifts in this country shifted. So in 2009, we did a survey nationally and asked the CU leaders who were in high school then, what are the spiritual gifts? And you can tell, and I can tell you for a fact, the leading spiritual gift in the country in 2009, and we visited 25, wait a minute, we visited 5 schools I think in every I'm forgetting, we visited 125 schools. We visited 25 schools in the former 5 provinces. Among the former provinces, we visited 5 of them and 25 schools in each one of them. And the leading spiritual gift then, which I think is still now, was singing and dancing. I don't know if you're getting what I'm talking about. So what did that mean for you, for this generation? Then the generation, therefore, started aspiring to be musicians. The generation lifted up music, and therefore music became the heartbeat of every one young person in this generation, even those whose voices are not in the keyboard. And whenever we had music auditions, you would get long queues of young people saying funny things on stage. And you can tell that one would have just better stayed in the village. But music had already been heightened as the thing to live for, as the thing to long for, as the thing to desire to become. Do you know what did? Because of that desire, we gained an identity that makes you feel better if you're a musician today. And if you are not able to sing well, even if you don't tell us, sometimes you feel bad about yourself. And all those who are laughing are confirming. And you know what that has done? That created an identity issue because of the icon that had been lifted, that music is important, makes you happy, and thereafter also gained money out of it. Now, you know these things is very serious. What happened is this again. Another implication is that very many people getting into the music industry, and we got campus graduates, brethren, got into the music industry. Even those who don't read the Bible got into the music industry. They started releasing lyrics that are not even in the Bible. They started singing things that even the wicked could tell something is wrong. You know, I was reading an article by a guy called Cyprian Nyakundi. I mean, one of the bloggers who's really, the guy uses very strong words. And he could tell there's something wrong. You know, when a person who is from outside can tell something is wrong, something is really wrong, and those who are inside cannot tell. But you know what drove us there? It became our identity. We wanted to sing and become musicians at all costs. It didn't matter whether I'm gifted or not. Whatever I need to sing, you let me sing it. Whatever it is, all I need to do is to put the word blessed inside there. Nitabarikiwa, nitabarikiwa. You see, you say something. Whether in past tense, present tense, or future participle. Do you know what that did? That actually brought in a hunger and an identity issue with our own generation around the issue of music. And today, I am very convinced that there's many in this generation who will actually lose the path of life by the fact that their hearts were won by something that even God had not. ordained for them. Not only did that happen, but that musicians gained a higher authority than they ought to. It therefore became, that the theologians of our time are actually not preachers. The theologians of our time are actually musicians. And most of us live by the theology of the musicians, which is seriously flawed, most of it, and have lost the ability to have abstract thinking or listening to exposition of preaching. And it is sad that that's not what I'm doing tonight. But I'm drawing you in, and I want you to see something, and I want you to cry out for your soul. Because there could be some of us who are already in the music path, and that's not where God wants you to be. And you will need to be honest with yourself tonight. Am I in this because it is actually the theme of our generation? Am I in this because it is starting to turn money in? Because it's becoming worse by the day? The second thing, I think I've already mentioned that in terms of the confusion of spiritual gifts. The second icon of our time is actually human potential movement. The era of the human potential movement. The human potential movement, or what we locally call motivational speaking. Motivational speaking, lots of the motivational speakers in this country have come or borrowed their ideologies and their cliches from a branch of the New Age religion called the human potential movement. And you can go and read about it after this. Human potential movement is not my word. It's actually coined that way. That's what it is called. It's a whole big branch of the New Age movement. Serious, huge branch. And the human potential movement has swept this country like a wave. Most of you have actually been bred and brought up by motivational speakers. And were it not for the motivational speakers, most of you would never have made it here. And every time you became a bit lazy, the headmistress remembered to bring in another one to jab you for the next term. And the next time your grades went lower, another one came to give you another jab to move the next term. And somehow it worked because a number of you are seated here tonight. But do you know what that did? The good intention to motivate a student gradually became the intake of ungodly and unbiblical ideologies. And motivational speakers therefore became the icon of our time and our day. And there are very many students here today who are motivational speakers back in their villages. It is whatever. And what that did is this. Anybody who got, no matter what level of success, which meant even if you made it to Jekwat, I know probably some of you come from very remote villages, you are the only two of you who are in Jekwat, in another university. It became something that lifted you to the place whereby you now can become a motivational speaker, at least in your village. By the fact that you passed. Now, this is very serious. I know we are laughing about it, but this is very serious. The ideology contained in the cliches that are actually moved in most of the secular humanistic motivational speaking enshrines certain values that we have slowly and unconsciously become part of us because we've listened to them for so long, they've become us. And we have identified with those ideologies, and I can tell you for a fact, we are living them. And we are pursuing them, even today. think we are gods. Because we were told we are gods. We think we can achieve anything if we set our minds to it. You remembering those things?
Yeah.
We were told we are genius. Even though you know how you performed in your last time. But we were told we are what? We are genius. Without making reference to your last card. We were fed with statements that we subconsciously got an intake. And today, motivational speaking is a much more lucrative career than being a biblical preacher. And now that's just a little in terms of that identity. So we identify ourselves and we have aligned ourselves with the value system and with the ideology and the philosophical propositions that are made by secular humanistic motivational speakers. We have loved them, we quote them. In fact, in church WhatsApp groups, people send more motivational quotes than they send Bible verses. It happens even here. We are more, because we became accustomed. And that became our identity. And therefore, we will grow to actually align our lives and try to shape our lives by those truisms we share together as a generation. And therefore, if you walk now into any Christian bookstore, you will not find any one of you buying a book on the exposition of the book of Titus. I would be surprised to find a campus student who has bought a Bible study by themselves of the book of Timothy. But you invite them to buy Beyond Positive Thinking. The magic. And a number of array of items that now have become our new identity. Giving us new words like destiny. And you're committed matching to your... We don't even ask each other what that destiny is. The third major, and I told you that today we don't even have time to cover all of them, so I'm just going to mention a few of them to give me time to go back to the scriptures. The third one is actually the breakdown of the family. The family in this country, I was looking at statistics and I forgot where to be able to cite that 44% of the families in Central Province are led by a single parent. That shocked me. It shocked me, and I actually had to read it again, but I remembered, I think I've been seeing these statistics increase. And it's much easier to note it in Central Province, because if you come from a single parenthood in Central Province, your name ends with a female surname. So it's much easier to actually identify, which was very rare when I was in primary school. But as much as that now is a new reality, and we cannot raise anything concerning the structure of your family because most of us have little to do with the way the structure is as is today. And I truly do have respect for ladies who have actually struggled to raise families single-handedly. However, within that reality has become a confusion around what is family. Because of coming from that background, we as a generation must continue to affirm the truth of the scriptures, even though that is what is not factual where we are. But instead of affirming that which is biblical and that which is of God, we have attempted to redefine it so that it can suit our current circumstance. And therefore, we have actually redefined. There are very few campus students in your generation who would say that they are looking forward, aspiring, longing to have a family. A number of you, even if you may not confess it, are looking forward to become the next engineer, get your corporate job, get a baby, stay alone. Is that common thinking? It is. It is because our generation has experienced the pain of the breakdown of the family. And a number of you have lost hope in getting married. Or rather do not even long for it. It's not an aspiration deep within your heart. All girls everywhere in all cultures, from class 1, including my daughters, right now they are all under 8. They keep on acting the wedding day. Right from class 7, they look forward to the wedding day. As all the young man look for the wedding night, isn't it? But what that has done to us as a people is that your aspirations of what it means in terms of your career has been shaped and being given identity out of the pain of where you have come from. You have assumed a new goal in life that you're pursuing and that you're looking forward to form that comes from your experiences from the family unit. Now, other Western nations have even gone further to actually redefine what a family is by introducing even same-sex arrangements. They are not marriages. Marriage is between a male and female. If you have a male and a male, that's something different. It's called an arrangement. It has to have another word. And I look at us, and my heart goes out to all of us this evening. Because all those things I have mentioned have shaped what you identify yourself as. And it has shaped your aspirations on where you want to move on from here. There are few of you who are not giving a lot of attention to romantic relationships because your aspirations have been broken down. And therefore you are longing to pursue a certain career path shaped and determined by the influences of our time and day. And tonight I have come to plead with you that indeed you do not have to actually conform to the identities that this current culture has created. For all of those who are not wasanii, may the Lord bless you tonight. I've seen a guy with a tremble. Praise the Lord. And respect to all those who are called to be musicians. As all your classmates say, me, husband, I'm not getting married. I hope that is not becoming your new identity, which is not what you are aspiring to when you were in primary school. And I know some of you have changed. Before you came to this campus, you got new identities. You started living by different values. Amongst the things we are talking about. And I know so many, including like now Jaquad has quite a number of people, quite a number of us, who have actually become musicians, artists, graphic designers, different things from the difficult courses you've been doing and the difficult cards and exams you've been undertaking. Some of it is of God. I'm thinking some of it is not of God. Some of it is us experiencing an identity crisis. Anthropologists say that the first generation of any birth of a nation goes through war. So every man desires to be a warrior. After they have gained their own independence and freedom, they start building their country. And the next courses they want to do is engineering and scientific courses for industrialization. After a country has been industrialized, they look for service people to serve in what has been created. So white-collar jobs then become the next big thing. The fourth stage of a country is when now the country has kind of got into a lull, and people now are no longer under pressure to do anything. They now can start doing soft courses, like painting. Now that's not me, that's anthropology. So those courses start becoming the in thing because the society has already gone through the phases. They have fought their battles, they have done the engineering, they have built their servicemen. Now they are at a certain point of alarm. And now they can do soft things of what they feel like. So they start saying, follow your heart. It doesn't matter what you did in campus, just follow your heart. Do what you truly are passionate about. Do you know, 10 years ago you wouldn't have said that to me. I started here 20 years ago. Yeah, it's 20 years ago, I'm glad to go. We were here 20 years ago, you wouldn't have said follow. There was nothing like follow your heart. If you followed your heart, you would go hungry. You have to do certain courses to survive. You are following your heart because somebody paid the sacrifice to give the country options of what you can do and chase in life. But what am I saying? Am I saying this? That now, the new realities have redefined us. And we have now gotten new identities. And we now, in the Christian, as believers and followers of our Lord Jesus Christ, we too may be caught up trying to achieve and trying to become and trying to identify with the different icons that have been lifted in our time. And we must be honest with each other tonight to be able to affirm what truly has redefined you and the things that you are pursuing and the things that you find valuable and the things that you actually esteem and consider important. When I was at 30 in this campus, something happened to me as I come to a conclusion. And what happened to me is that my best friend died. He was doing economics at the University of Nairobi. And then I was finishing my chemistry major degree. I had done my internship at one of the oil companies, and it was already looking very nice for me. And when he died, I was confronted with serious life questions. Indeed, there were certain artifacts at that point in time that shaped my thinking and my value system, and in which I had found my identity as a young man, and my aspirations, and what I loved and what I wanted to do, and what made me feel bad about myself, and what made me feel like I wanted what everybody else had, and what created my own inadequacies. But Jesus Christ delivered me from the kingdom of darkness as a third year at the end of semester 1. And he showed me my sinfulness, and he showed me his great love by coming and dying on the cross, and by redeeming me. And these two parables in the book of Matthew chapter 13, verse 44 and 45, paint for me what actually happened to me. And that I would like to share with you as I conclude. Jesus gave an example, Matthew 13, 44 and 45, that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, is like a treasure in a field which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of the pearls, who on finding one pearl of great value, went and sold all that he had and bought it. I submit to us this evening that every generation has its own pearls. Every generation has the things it considers important, things that you take your time and money to pursue, things that you talk about when you're seated with your friends, and things that you're willing to sacrifice your very own life in pursuit of and in achievement of. Jesus says this, that the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. This merchant who knows the worth of what he is looking at, and now comes across one pearl of great value. And he went and he sold everything. And he got this one pearl of great value. What I was actually told and transformed my life and redefined my life for me and created a new identity of who I am today as I stand amongst you this evening. I was a different man, I can tell you for a fact. But God, as illustrated in this parable, caused me to give up on all the other pearls I was pursuing. And I sold them, so to say. And I beheld this one pearl that I found to be of great value. And it is now this new pearl that I found that became my new identity. Because whatever you pursue, whatever you long for, whatever you deem important and of value, you become like it. Whatever you esteem in your heart, you actually become like it. Because it becomes a thing you pursue, then therefore it becomes a thing that you are identified with. And I sold off everything, so to say. And all my ambitions and all my longings and all my value system, everything changed. I couldn't believe it. And you know, the evening is not long enough for me to tell you all the stories of everything that changed in my life. And I want to tell you this, my dear younger brothers and sisters. If you have not yet sold off everything, and by this I mean, you probably have not found the pearl of great value. Because it became something automatic for this merchant. It is because of what he had found that actually he had to give up what now became of lesser value. All the value systems and the things that I deemed important, I shelved them. The things that my friends would have deemed important and would have bothered me as a young man stopped bothering me because now I had something different that had captured my heart. It is not actually a psychological counseling that you need to find self-esteem. That's not the biblical response. The biblical response says this, that when you find the great pearl of great value, everything else diminishes in its value, and you behold it and it shapes you and your aspirations. My dreams were changed. My friendships were changed. The things I used to watch were changed. My identity were changed. What I wanted to become was changed. Everything about me changed, and I was no longer in an identity crisis trying to be like everybody else. Why? Because Jesus therefore became more precious to me than anything else that I held dear there before. Can I mention a few of them? I think I don't need you to talk in parables. I've already cited a parable. I had a girlfriend in KU. And I told her the stuff we used to do, I cannot do them anymore. It was cool to hang out with a girl from KU because JKUAT then did not have as many scams 20 years ago. And you would be cool if you had a girl from KU. And everybody else thought you looked funny. And if you were not in a relationship at a certain point in time, you started feeling like you're awkward. God delivered me from that rat, R-U-T. And it became for me a new pursuit. And for the next 6 years, I was single and I was not looking for a romantic relationship. And I wasn't feeling bad for those who are getting married. Neither was I feeling envious of those who are behind me. There was no longer a comparison thing. I have found something that had truly, truly become of great value. I was willing to do anything. We used to leave campus and Tama for at least 2 years. And it was very, very hard for most of my peer mates. Today things changed. There was a different regime. I mean, things have changed in the last many years. The economy of our country is much better. Situations are now much better. But the friends we left on campus, it was difficult. We couldn't get jobs that easily. And once one got, there was a comparison of how I'm doing and how life is and all that. I was delivered. I knew I have gotten Jesus, and that was enough. You know, I don't get it today. When you get Jesus, you have it. You no longer pursue anything more. In fact, when Paul says, for now for me to live is, and to die is gain. What he is saying, I am hanging around for your sake. For me, even if I die today, Paul is saying, even if I die today, Philippians 1:21, yes. Even if I died today, I have already found what I was looking for. In fact, I found more than I was pursuing. And therefore now I am satisfied. I have come to the end of my pursuit. Therefore, I am no longer having a new destiny. I can't talk about a destiny. I arrived because I found Christ. So I arrived, so I'm not going anywhere else. My work now is to help other people arrive. And feel mercy for them as they chase other small paths. And when I finished, I was willing to do anything. I remember going for Commission 2000, the year I graduated, and listening to Callisto Dede, and listening to Pastor Oscar Moreu. And as they preached and talked about the need for people to actually give their time to the preaching of the gospel in the universities, in the high school students, it made sense to me. I was already satisfied in Christ. And it's not the one we normally say. It was truly, truly a satisfaction. And I do not know how to explain this to all of us tonight. Because I can tell that if you find yourself comparing yourself with other people, I think you need to check your relationship with Christ. And if you admire other people's paths, you probably need again to check. Do you truly have Him? And you know what is the unique thing about Christ and those who know Him? Right from the Old Testament to the New, it is that those who have Him, He gives them what He has kept as a promise for so many decades and centuries, that even the prophets of old longed to see and understand, but they couldn't. And you know what they talked about Prophet Joel? They say this: a time will come when God will pour out His Spirit upon all flesh. And when Peter spoke on the day of Pentecost, he said this is what was promised and prophesied. Now has become a reality. Now God is truly Emmanuel. What does that mean? He who has God has everything. It is finally fulfilled as the prophets desired. Because in the Old Testament, what made you unique is if you possessed the Spirit of the living God. If you look at citations about what was different about Joseph, Genesis 41:38. What was different about Caleb? Numbers 14:24. What was different about Daniel? Daniel 5:14. What was different about all of them? They possessed the Spirit of the living God. And because they had the divine nature and the Spirit of God was upon them, they were different and they became different and they were not in an identity crisis. Because they had Jesus, they had God, they had the Spirit of the living God. And you will not be able to do it until you truly turn your life to Him and He gives you His Spirit as a guarantee, as a deposit of the things to come. And when you have the Spirit of God indwelling you, you will truly be different. And people will say, this man, this young lady, is not like any other lady I know. They have the Spirit of the living God. And when God takes you on your own unique path, you will experience life very differently than what you thought it would become. The last 16 years have been an adventure for me. I never would have imagined that 16 years after graduating, I would be preaching in a campus. I would never have imagined. But it has been an adventure. And God, as we are in a new dispensation, it is now possible for God to indwell you. And I want to pray that as many of you will find that pearl of great value, and that you will not be defined by the pearls that your generation will be influenced by. And that you will live a unique life. You will live such a unique life, a different life shaped by the Spirit of the living God. Allow me to pray. Our God and Father, we thank you tonight. We acknowledge the powerful forces that have defined our aspirations as young people, our desires, our longings, what we have collectively defined as good, important, and valuable. And we have chased those different things as pearls in this life. And we celebrate those who find them. We even call them blessed. But tonight, Lord, you call us out that we might know you, the pearl of great value. And on finding you, Lord, we will be so excited and so overwhelmed. We will be willing to sell everything and behold you as our most precious possession. Lord, you told the tribe of Levi that they will not get a share amongst other tribes of Israel because you are their possession. You became their inheritance. I pray tonight, oh God, that indeed there will be young people here, Lord, tonight, that will say, God, I want you to be my inheritance. As other people chase different other things in my generation, I want God to be my inheritance. Oh, that God, you will give and reveal your truth and your Son, Jesus, to them. And help them, our Father, to turn to you and to allow you to reign so